Okay, what I'm going to show you today is how to use your Dermaroller at home. So a Dermaroller, for those of you who haven't seen one before, comes in a little case, and it's a roller with lots of tiny little needles on. So they can be anything from sort of 0.2, 0.3, 0.5 up to sort of the 1mm. So for at home, your optimal use would be the 0.3 or 0.5mm. What this will do is, as you roll it over the skin, it creates tiny little punctures and openings in the skin, so you can get 1,000 times the penetration of any serums that you put on into the skin. And also, just that movement of puncturing the skin, it just triggers the growth factors into the skin, and that will make the cells divide and turn over and stimulate collagen and elastin. So I'm going to show you how to do it. First of all, we've cleansed the face, completely clean, really important, there's no makeup on there at all, no bacteria from the day, so give it a really good clean. And then you can just roll straight onto dry skin, as I just did with my hand, or what we like to do here is use the EndoCare ampules. So they come in a little glass ampule, and it's quite nice to put half of the ampule on before, and then put the other half on after you've rolled, and that way it just gives you a little bit of a slip as you're rolling over. So just tap it out into your hands and empty that onto there. Make sure you save half of it for afterwards. And it's quite a watery consistency, so just make sure you get it into the fingers and then straight onto the face. So we'll cover the whole face and neck with it, and just come in around the eyes. With your roller you can get in really close around the lip line and close underneath the eyes and under the brows. So I like to start my roller from the top of the head and work your way down. It's up to you the pattern you follow, but if you follow the same pattern each time, it's a lot easier to remember where you've been. So have your roller in your hand, and you want to hold it almost like a pen, and then have a mirror nearby so that you can see clearly where you're going. So the first thing you want to do is always support the skin. If you roll without it, you can get a slight drag, and particularly areas around the eye where it's a little bit finer, you can pull the skin quite a bit. So just support the skin. And what we're going to do to start off with is start in between the brows. So we'll hold on to the skin there, and we'll just roll forwards and backwards. And as we're rolling, we're just going to turn the needle slightly just to change the angle. So that way you're going forwards and backwards, horizontal, and then you're going diagonal as well. You can then turn the roller so you're coming vertical, and again just very slightly changing the angle means that you'll get a really good coverage. You will feel the roller slightly as it's going into the skin, but the more you use it, the more used to that you get. And you'll get a little bit of redness come up here, which I can see a little bit of that in my forehead already. So we've treated in between the brows now, so we're just going to keep working over. And you can go forwards and backwards around sort of 10 times. The one thing that you don't want to do is ever go from vertical to suddenly twist the roller and turn to horizontal. So always lift the roller off and go in the other direction. So you can see there's a nice little bit of erythema coming up there, so a little bit of reddening in the skin. Rollers are really great for any skin concern. They're good for anti-aging. They really help with pigmentation if you use corrective products on top afterwards. They really help with texture, pore size, and it's one of those treatments where you have to be kind of strict with yourself and set your days a week that you're going to do it. So with the 0.3 roller you can build up to using it every night, but for some people just time wise it's a little bit too much to do. It takes about 7 to 10 minutes to do each night. So what you want to do is set your days in the week that you're going to do it. So for me, I like to do mine every other night, and that's manageable and I stick to it, and I know then if I haven't done it the night before that it's the night to do it. Some people, they like to go and do it sort of on a Monday and a Friday. They pick their 2 days in the week. So we've completed the forehead area. What we're going to do now is come around the eye. So around the eye area, when you hold your roller, what you want to do is just turn it slightly, so you're turning and lifting into the contours, and that way you get to work a little bit closer. So come below the brow, we're just going to really hold and stretch and support the skin. Take your roller, just angle it slightly, and on this area just go forwards and backwards. And just roll in and out, forwards and backwards. You can come down quite low, but don't go directly over the eyelid. And then we'll come to the side of the eye, so again just hold and support and just go up and down here. You don't need to worry about doing all the angles here because it can be a little bit tricky around the eye area. And then underneath the eye, just hold and stretch the skin again. Right? You can use your thumb to pull the skin down slightly and just go forwards and backwards. And get right in around that eye contour. Remember just to angle the roller, tilt it slightly so you can get into that area close enough. Okay, so we've come under the eye now. So the cheek you do much in the very same way as you've done the forehead, so you can just hold and support the skin and roll up and down, changing the angle slightly so you're doing the diagonals, working horizontally. What you'll find with the deeper needles is that you can get a little bit of pinpoint bleeding sometimes, which is perfectly normal. It's just all the blood circulation being stimulated, coming through to the surface with all the nutrients and the oxygen. And then you can also find that you can get a little bit of dryness a few days later, which again is perfectly normal. It's just where the skin cells are turning over, which sometimes happens with a 0.5, but not on everybody. So we're going vertical, changing our angle slightly, and then horizontal, again just changing slightly so you get those diagonals as well. So coming in on the lip area, this area again, very similar to around the eye where you have to angle the roller. Stretch the lip down and first of all, just go in and out. So you're just going across. And then what you can do is tilt your roller so you're only really using sort of 2 or 3 lines of the needles and get really close in around the lip line. When you get those upper lip lines, they do start right from the border of the lip, so really get in there with the roller. And again, when you come to the nasal labia fold, you can pop your tongue behind just to give it a little bit of padding to support, so you can push a little bit harder there. Okay, and then we'll come underneath the lip in the same way as on the top, so change the angle. Just use a couple of lines of the needles to get really close, and then complete onto the chin as well, working horizontally, slightly turning, and then vertically. Okay, so we worked all the way down this side of the face. We're just going to come onto the nose, which you can just pop your finger on the end and just hold it to the side slightly. And the nose again being a smaller area. Don't need to worry about doing all the angles, but just tilt the roller with using a couple of rows of the needles and just get right into the corners. Okay, so now the final part, coming down onto the neck. It's quite good if you stretch your neck up and pull down with your hand, and then that way you've got a good hold onto the skin. So we're going to go horizontal. The neck can sometimes be a little bit more sensitive, so just bear that in mind in terms of your pressure and how many times you go over it. You can get a little bit more redness there and a little bit more sensitivity afterwards. Okay, so that's one side of the face completed. Ordinarily I'd go on and do the other side, but I'm just going to show you now, if we've completed the whole face, I'll take another little bit of the ampoule, pop my serums on. You might feel a slight tingling sensation when you put the rest of the serums on the skin, just where you've got those little openings, the active ingredients will really penetrate in. And you can finish with a night cream on top. Then, making sure that you keep your roller clean is really, really important. So what you're going to do is take your sterilising solution, hold your roller out away from you and give it a really good spray. Make sure you get that sterilising solution all the way around. And then I'd let that sit for a few minutes. In the case that you keep your roller in, there's a little support so you can hold the head of the roller into it. leave it there for a little while so the sterilising can take effect, and then afterwards just give it a good rinse underneath the tap to get any of the sterilising solution off. Shake off the excess water, pop it back in the stand, and then just leave it to dry. Once it's dried, you can pop the lid back on, make sure the lid's on nice and secure, and then your roller is safe and ready for use next time. So I hope you've enjoyed your demonstration of how to use your home roller. Just remember to pick your nights, be realistic with yourself on how much you're going to use it, and get those serums on the skin afterwards.